This is PopImpressKA Journal, and we're here today with Vulpis Suzanna Klintcharova. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We're in this amazing studio, Joe.
Yes, it's still being paid for, but yes, we're here.
And I know you have amazing artists here, and you also actually worked many hours with Suzanna.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, how did you meet each other, and what made you to go from such a different genre of music where it's actually classical? I mean, it's been the foundation of everything out there.
She made me.
She made you.
No. Actually, she could tell it, right? When we first met, it was, well...
When we first met, I was starting a new project, and I was looking for somebody who can handle it. Mm-hmm. And we were introduced, and we tried to work together with Joe, and it went immediately in a very, very high speed and high intensity way. Mm. And he was kind enough to follow my crazy way of working. And I think that gradually it grown him.
Oh, yeah, it helped me out. I mean, it was amazing. It changed me. I mean, it really helped me out a lot.
Yes, and also his background is with all kinds of music, with classical music, big time. Mm. And that made it possible, because the harp is a very, very difficult instrument to record and to edit. Mm-hmm. Very difficult. Why? Because it's got different kinds of strings. Right. We have goat strings, we have wire strings, mm-hmm. and we have some teeny plastic strings. And all this gives a different vibration. Exactly. So to catch this in mics, not to talk about the mechanics and the pedals, mm-hmm. so you need to catch the right vibration from the strings, but you avoid catching the noises which come with all those 7 pedals with three positions. It's really a very difficult instrument to record, and I happen to have a big experience with recording some big discography, and we were really trying to put our experience, each one the best of his experience, together in order to have a satisfactory result. And that's what Joe excels in listening and paying attention to the smallest detail, to the ambience, to try to get a right picture, very close to the reality picture, mm-hmm. which is the best, of course, for the instrument, mm-hmm. and also to keep in mind the weak points of the recording, because the sound we hear is not the same which we'll find after that what's getting into the mics. Mm-hmm. This is very difficult, and there we need a very good professional, mm-hmm. what he is, to figure out what we'll find after that on the picture, not in the moment we are just putting the 3 or 4 or 5 mics around the instrument. Yeah. So this was a very important part of our collaboration, and that made me really wanting to work with him.
Joe.
Yes.
Yeah, it was great. No, it's an experience, and your ears grow. And what she was saying about the live performance, capturing it in the studio is huge. I mean, you can't just go into the studio and capture the live performance. You have to maintain the reverberation, like we were talking about Carnegie Hall earlier. We were talking about the St. Petersburg, Russia. Mm-hmm. The stage sound is what you can't. You don't want to lose that. And it takes a great harpist. It takes the instrument, it takes the player, but it takes the environment. And I think that's what we're trying to say.
And it also takes some experience to figure out what is coming out afterwards.
Right.
For example, now we are working on the 3rd volume of this project, and I'm working in a all different way in order to just live performance or to record. Mm-hmm. Now I'm listening myself like I'm listening behind the mic. Mm-hmm. And this is absolutely necessary when you record and when you prepare recording, to such a really difficult to capture and to record instrument. And the capture is difficult not only in terms of techniques, of course, of cleanliness, of course, but of ambience and of the right energy, the right ambience.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Joe, when you met with Susanna and you decided, oh, this is a great artist to work with, I mean, do you choose your artist, and how do you choose your artist in order to say, this is it, I want to work with this artist and I want to create something magnificent, which will make a difference?
I think it's both, actually. I think an artist chooses you without realizing it, too. Mm-hmm. Because your music's draw each other, your styles bring each other together. Mm-hmm. And I mean, like she said, in this situation, she was looking for somebody to, there was actually a specific thing at the time. We were trying to fix up some editing, and we were talking, and I was drawn to it, mm-hmm. and I was blown away, and I think we work comfortably together.
Good. So you get along very well then.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I know you've taken some trips together as well.
Yeah, we've been great.
We're planning more trips together.
Yeah, no, trips are great. Those are fun. We have a good time, and those are the easy parts. I mean, that's when the project's done, and I can walk around and go, hello, how are you? Oh, not me. I'm tired. That's why I have a good time. No, it's
I never listen to my recordings once they are done. Never. Because what's done is done. I have recordings, really, I have not listened to more than 10 years, and then I need for something to give a conductor a tempo or something. Then I go, sometimes, oh my God, that's me.
I have to listen now.
I'm so spent.
Like
in
you've
this
done it
work,
so many times.
In this work that it's done. I'm into the next project.
Now, Susanna, I know you're from Bulgaria.
Yes.
And then tell me more about your background and your family, and how did you started playing this beautiful instrument?
Well, my background is coming from a family of artists. My mom was a pianist, mm-hmm. and my dad is a painter and a writer. And when I opened my eyes, I think I knew that it's music for me. Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, I could hardly talk. I would not ask for a fairy tale at evening. I would ask my mother for a piece, for a piano piece. Yeah, and she didn't want me to get involved with music without being conscious what it is, mm-hmm. because she knew she was a concert artist. She knew what the slavery it is. Mm-hmm. Of course, it brings you everything and all that, but it is a slavery. And she didn't want me necessarily to be Mommy's girl and to become a musician. And she kept me away almost, like in a catch, in a corner, until I was 5. Wow. And I was like, oh my God, that's what I want to be. Not to talk about her image, her big student's image and all that. For me, it was more than a fairy tale. And when I started, I was really not determined. It was a need for me. Mm-hmm. It was just a need. And I went quite far, but maybe too fast. So I got some problems with my wrists and all that. I was all tiddy. And then I was starting considering trying another instrument, but I had all this impact of the instrument, all this great possibility of music sounds in my head, and I didn't want to change just for a melodical instrument, as beautiful as it might be, like violin or the flute. It was not enough for me somehow in my little head music concept, and the harp was resembling all those qualities I was looking for, and plus of this little girl's image of fairy tale and God knows what, and beauty, simply beauty. And when I started it was that. I went very fast because I had all this piano background. I was already playing piano concertos and God knows what, and that helped me a lot, musician-wise and everything. So I started very fast on the harp, and I had also this culture of serious work. Mm-hmm. Music was not for me just an activity. It was something I'm into it, and in order to get a result, I will give whatever is necessary.
Like a serious project.
A serious project and involvement. Really
Like
involvement.
an affair.
And what my mom was telling me when I was little was, there are a lot of talented people, but the real talent is the capacity of work. And not only the capacity, the necessity of work. You really get up and you have something in your head and you need to go there to spend those hours and to do the best of it. So this is actually the real dedication to music and the real possibility to go further, because that's true. Who is not a little gifted musically or a little talented or a little more or a lot,
Right.
but actually doesn't have the mind to and the necessity to go further.
To do that. Right.
So that was my start, and then I had enormous chance to work with a couple of very, very big masters. One of them was in Brussels Conservatory. I finished the Brussels Conservatory together with the Sofia Conservatory, and then I was a student of Suzanne Mildonian, who is really maybe one of the biggest names in harp playing. And then she sent me at that time to France to work with her professor, Pierre Jamet, who was giving classes, and who was working himself with Debussy, with Fauré,
Oh,
with
that's
Ravel.
fantastic.
And this was really something incredible for me. And this, it took me time, of course, to come to this project. I'm realizing now, because I did a lot of photo recordings before, but the project which I'm involved with now is called La Belle Époque de la Harpe.
And I've seen that CD cover.
Yes,
Beautiful.
and this is exactly what I've learned with Pierre Jamet. Because this music by Debussy, by Ravel, by Roussel, by pieces which
Bach.
were no, it's called La Belle Époque de la Harpe.
This is what's on the CD.
On the CD.
Yeah,
And you were doing this,
because-
right?
Yeah.
Joe?
Yes, we are doing
together.
this together. That's why I'm talking about this project. We started it together, and we are about to get to the third volume to end it now together.
And the one that I saw was volume 1.
Yes, volume 1. We have done already. The volume 2 is very close to printing now. Yes.
No, wait, no, you can tell, right?
And now at the end of this month, I'm recording the third volume, and hopefully we'll have it by the end of the summer.
That's fantastic.
Yes, but why I'm talking about that, and I'm connecting it to my background as my studies and my teacher, because it involves exactly the most important era for the harp music, which is the beginning of 20th century, and which will write the start of the modernity of all music, and particularly the harp music, and which is the socle, the base of the harp repertoire. And again, Fauré, Saint-Saëns, Ravel, Debussy, Roussel, and some of those pieces were written for Pierre Jamet, who was my teacher at one time.
Before you met with Susanna, what do you think drawn you to be in the music industry and actually meet people like Susanna and other artists and shape them into something different? Because I know your approach to music is new, and even like with this Susanna La Belle Époque, which is beautiful epoch. And what made you to create something new with the sound, and how was it that you coming such a different background than Susanna, and you ended up being such a great producer and musician?
Whew. Let's see. Question 1, section 1.
Yeah, section 1.
Well, I think what makes this project work, and we continue to work well together, is the fact that it's fresh to me. So whether it's a pop record, a jazz record, classical, whatever, you learn the artist, so it's not, you can't train for this. You go to Berkeley, you study with teachers, and you can't train for the real world until you just kind of sharpen your pencil and dive in. And
that's where you learn to be flexible and to learn the human part of your
right. You got to learn your artist.
Yes.
And so the answer the question best I can. I do that with everybody.
How do you learn your artists?
Just spend time with them, listen to them. Sometimes it's what you don't say. You know, it's better just to sit back and listen. I mean, the first couple times, I mean, Susanna would play something for me.
Yes, he said, just I want to listen to you.
Yeah, and, you know, it's a really funny story. It's like,
and
wait
that's
a
what I
beginning.
liked.
Yeah.
Somebody who wants to listen and then to take a decision, yeah?
Yeah, but in the very beginning, Susanna played something for me, and it was the first thing I heard, and I was like, oh my God, it was amazing, and I can't say this on TV, but, you know, she said, so what'd you think? I'm like, that was amazing, and she's like, that was crap. But she used a different word. And I'm like, that was my second choice. You know? I didn't want to go there yet. I want to make sure I keep you on your toes. No. And I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, this is going to be brutal. That was just the first 5 minutes. No, but then you become one with it. And I mean, you know, growing up, I studied, you know, classical, jazz, and, you know, went off to school, and then I went on the road and all this stuff. But
where'd you go to school?
I went to Berkeley for music, and then, but I got out. I did it in 3 years.
You didn't like it there?
No, I wanted to get out. I don't like being in a structured education. So my parents said to me at the time, you know, you're not doing anything in life until you graduate. So I stayed for the summer, and I took like 40 credits just to get out, because I went on the road. And I went on the road with some bands like, you know, Richie Blackmore, Deep Purple, Rainbow, bands like that. And I wanted to be in the real world and work with real artists. And I knew that school was great. Don't get me wrong. I was in elementary school. I didn't want to be in elementary school. You know, school for me was torture because it was so structured. I wanted to be on the road. I wanted to be creating, you know, and so I knew that that's where I had to get. I mean, I just had to finish up what my parents wanted at the time, you know, and, you know,
done.
get my cap and gown and go, and get rid of it, and then get on the road and do what I had to do. So, I did, and once I finished what I had to, you know, getting into the real world, worked with everybody. I mean, and not everybody, but everything that came my way that intrigued me, I love to work with, and then you become one with them, whether it's a country record, a dance record, jazz record, and I think that will help answer the question. So, and then Susanna came along. I wanted to do it. I mean, ever since, you know, in my head, I'm like, oh, man, I would really love to do this. And then when she asked me, I was like, okay, you know, let's do it. That'd be fun. And it was a lot more intense than I expected it would be initially, but I caught up. You know, I had to catch up to her.
I'm sure that if I leave some portion of work to him today, he will have the same standards as me.
No, but now I will. But it took me a while to get, you know, I had to, like, you get to know your artist.
You have to get used to
I mean,
know each other.
We used to work around the clock, and then, like I told you earlier, she went back to Paris to perform, and up until that week, I was saying to myself, oh, okay, I understand now. And then when she left, she's like, I have to leave now. And I'm like, leave, like, get a coffee? She goes, no, I got to fly to Europe. I'm like, no, I can't finish this alone. And I had to finish, like, about a week of it by myself. And it was scary. But that was I think my initiation. You know, that's when I realized, okay. And we worked together over the phone, and we talked just about every day, but that's how I got to know Susanna. I think she got me there, and then she let me catch up, and I caught up to her, and now I feel like I can do, you know, the next thing with her.
And then, so Susanna, what would you say is the best memory for you from your childhood? Because I know everything what we learn, it kind of molds us to the people that we are today.
Musicians don't have happy childhood memories. Musicians don't have happy childhood memories.
Brought you to the stage where you are from back when you were a little girl.
Well, this again, my mother.
Your mother.
This again, my mother. Going to sleep and listening to her practicing for concerts, and certain pieces are so deep into my body, engraved, that they're just part of my life. And it's like getting addicted to music. That I got addicted to.
So you like breathe and live.
Yes. I'm very far from a musician who lives only for music. It is part of my my personality, and I need to disconnect at one point.
Do you think in order to breathe and everything, you have to disconnect?
And I have a lot of I was a beneficiary of my father's world, of my father's work, of everything which is not music, and I'm very much into the not music world when I'm not working. But for me, the work is so intense that I really need to disconnect. And I'm doing this. I'm definitely not a musician who cannot stop practicing for a few days, who cannot go to vacation, who cannot do something else, get involved in other projects. Far from that. But what got me into that was the addiction I got when I was when I opened my eyes again to the world of music. I was living through my mother.
And what's your the most precious memory about Joe when you were together?
Oh, a
Be gentle.
couple of very few moments when a few moments really difficult when he didn't tell me, that's enough, get out of here.
I would never say that. But you can read our faces. I mean, it got to the point.
Enough is enough.
Yeah, we'd just be like...
Because this I get from my father, who is a perfectionist, and that's a very difficult thing. And I cannot say I'm perfectionist because you can never reach perfection. But I have some standards in my head and in my ears which I'm longing for, and sometimes are really a pain.
It is an addiction. I mean, it's,
Yes.
You can never plan a vacation. You can't tell your friends you're going to meet them for dinner or drinks. I mean, you can, but you can always be late. I mean, what's that musician's time is like, whenever you show up,
Joe, how do you know when the musician actually made it, or he's on that state that he is ready to be out there for people to see?
I mean, to be accepted by
Exactly.
That's a great question. I attribute to I get this feeling.
You get this feeling.
I absolutely know it. And I am so lucky because just about everybody I'm currently working with and I've worked with, you could see from my discography and people that have been, they're all doing something amazing.
Would you say, like, to the camera, how many would you work with and who you worked with if you want people to know?
No, I mean with Susanna, I heard Susanna's first CD and I got that feeling. I was like, and I said to myself, gee, I said, I'd be really blessed if I could work with her. And somebody introduced us and it became a reality. I mean, you can go way back, you can go back to Lady Gaga. I mean, when I worked with Stephanie in the beginning, I mean, it was the developing of who she became. She was 22 years old or 21 at the time. But I knew. And I remember I used to tell her parents, the father used to ask me, so what do you think? Does she have anything? And I mean, I don't know if she's probably going to see this, but the reality is, I'm sorry, is that, the father really, I don't think he believed it as much. And I was just like, wow, I said, she's great, You get that feeling. There's a girl now I'm working with in country music.
It's a mix between self-consciousness and self-confidence, I think. But the good kind of self-confidence, of course, the right kind. And self-consciousness, most of all.
Yeah. But you get that feeling, this girl Lizzie that I told you about, Lizzie Sider, she's 49 on the charts in 3 weeks. She's amazing. And I met her a year ago and, we were in her living room and you get that feeling. She's 15 years old. You say to yourself, before you go and you're like, all right, let's just get done. I got to go to Starbucks. I got to get home. I want to go fly home. And you meet somebody and you're like, oh, wow. And don't get me wrong, they're not all like that. And then you walk then you get the parents that call you from the, somewhere, they send you cars, they send you planes, and you go meet their kid and you're like, and you run, None of the parents that have called me recently, but but no, you get that feeling. So I guess I'm sorry it's not more scientific, but I guess after all the years of doing it, you just know what your body, what your mind accepts, and what it believes, and you have to believe.
You have to.
As a writer, as a producer, as an engineer, no matter what you're doing in the studio, the assistant has to believe in the artist that's in the booth. Because that's the only way you're going to get greatness. And like Susanna mentioned earlier, like the hours we put in, I would never kick anybody out, but maybe you can see it in our faces. We'll go 12 hours straight. You look exhausted, but you don't want to stop.
You're at the limit that you don't believe it can get any better.
Yeah.
And you're still trying and
yeah.
Sometimes you can, sometimes you cannot.
You take that chance, though.
Yes,
that's the addiction.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the addiction because, even, it could be like last night. We did a drum track last night, and we were done. And I'm listening back, and I'm like, do it again. And he's like, why? And I'm like, I don't know. I have this feeling that it's just going to be better now because we're not thinking about it. And it was great.
Yeah.
It was that take at 3:30 in the morning where we just didn't care because we knew we had what we needed.
Yeah.
And then it was just inspiration.
And then it becomes really good.
Pure, and some beer.
Yeah.
And some beer.
And some beer.
Some beer.
And, well, that took the edge off. We dimmed the lights and like, hey, let's do it again,
Yes.
And it was the best take, and that was the one that you went for. And in the harp music, when we were recording, it would be the simplest thing, like, let's adjust just the room reverb a little bit. We did it 1,000 times, and it was 1,001 times where it's just like, oh. And you didn't know what you were going to get till you got it.
Yeah.
But you were so glad that you took the time to get it.
But yes,
Yeah.
and that you follow your standards. At one point, you don't care anymore to please this one or that one.
No.
At one point,
No,
you're
not at all.
willing only to reach your own standards.
Right.
And I think that there is the this is the authenticity.
That's right. And Susanna, when was it for you as like an aha moment when you said, "Oh my gosh, I actually made it"? Because you're playing now an amazing concert halls, and you're a famous harpist all over the world.
I would never say I would make it. It would be very boring to get there and to make it. But I'm on stage since I was 6. With the comparable pieces, of course. And it's always a moment of doubt and a moment of performance, you know.
Right.
You depend on some seconds, whatever is going. And of course, it's becoming, more you grow, more your standards are higher. And I don't think it's a right thing to feel like you make it. Now I'm taking in from my repertoire sometimes pieces I have not played really long time, and I'm still digging into them. And sometimes I think I'm getting to something new. Then I would listen to my old recording and instinctively I was there, or maybe I'll go a little deeper. For me, what's important is the process of the work.
Exactly.
And what's interesting and what's challenging is the process, and that's what keeps alive the interpreter's work. Because, for example, Joe would write some new music, but maybe I will improvise in some new way, whatever
And I know
I'm
you're improvising with jazz as well.
With jazz, with contemporary. But when I go to back to my classical repertoire, what keeps me going ahead is really this addiction to dig, to go into the essence of the piece, to reach some maybe new standards I reached during all this time. That's what makes it interesting. I'm not just playing the same pieces for so many years and take one from the repertoire, another one. Each time I find something more interesting to do and something deeper somewhere deeper to go.
And then, as an artist, what inspires you, Susanna?
Many things. What inspires me most of all is other people great performance. Not necessarily in music, not necessarily in classical music. Can be dance, can be painting, can be literature, can be non-classical stuff. Whatever the high standards of other people.
Your magazine inspires us.
Can be also high standards in science.
In science,
the level of standards of other people.
Great thinkers.
That's what
And
inspires
Joe,
me.
what would be like your inspiration when you like sit down, like for example with Susanna, like what keeps you going so many hours, like for 12 hours?
Oh, I just listen to stuff that we've done. I mean, I like to listen. I mean, I have to listen, but I do enjoy it. And I hear where we came from, and I'm like, well, where can we go from here?
Yes.
And you go.
Yes, exactly. To the belief that you can do eventually better. And that's what keeps us going, because the day we say, oh, we are there, that's very nice, but then what?
That's true. What's your favorite time of the year or the holiday?
We don't know about holidays.
We don't know about holidays, but actually, when do you think, like, okay, I'm just gonna, really
Kick back?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can answer that. I kick back when I go to a movie.
You
A movie is
like
a vacation.
Movies.
Well,
You like it.
2 hours, and then by the time they roll credits, I'm like, I gotta get back to work. I don't know. That's my take.
That's great.
Or if I'm on a plane, I know we can't go anywhere, so I'm like, oh, let's watch a movie or drink. What about you?
I'm trying to enjoy every beautiful moment which comes around. Can be outdoors, can be indoors, can be with friends, can be alone in some beautiful place.
Hold on a second. You've been practicing all week. You
was
did not see the outdoors.
No. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Not even smaller. That's true.
I said, where are you?
But
I've
then
been
I
inside
tried
practicing.
Yes. Oh my God. This hard.
Did you see the flowers bloom?
That's true. This spring was hard to follow.
No, I'm teasing.
But I will catch up on June 5th. June 4th on June 5th.
Yeah.
Now, what's in the store for you? I've heard a rumor. Any awards or anything like that it's coming towards you?
We're working at it. We have to. Well, we're talking about the Grammy application. Yeah.
Well, we're really into the third volume, which needs now to be speeded, and we have deadlines, we have studio recordings, we have artists participating to this third volume, because the first volume was solo harp pieces, the second was harp and orchestra, and the third volume is chamber music for harp, and those are really major pieces, which some of them have not been recording, some of them have been recording very little, very few times.
We have deadlines.
We have
deadlines,
and
we're gonna make them. We're gonna make them. It's gonna.
Yeah.
These deadlines will enable us to properly enter in the time allotted to be considered for the Grammys, and it's a great category. And I already know what's coming up in terms of what we have, and we're gonna do everything to make it, because at least make the deadline, because we know that we have a lot to offer in this one. Yeah.
And that's very exciting time, and I'm sure that.
Well, everyone thinks about it, but you have to deliver.
And you forget about the outdoors and flowers blooming.
Yes, I mean, it started snowing now. If I saw snow, I'd be
yes, I won't be surprised. I won't be surprised.
I'll just leave the Christmas decorations up.
That's right. I love you had crackers in your living room.
Yes. I think we were.
Oh wait.
When I came from France, because I can see his window. When I came from France, and my Christmas decoration was on my window, and I'm taking it off, and I say, "Oh, we're the only one. We're the only one with Joe who still have it."
I still have a snowman on my balcony.
That's amazing.
When she looks out, so at least it's both of us at a wall.
Yes, I was taking off my window my Christmas decoration. Oh, Joe has it too.
And then, so now, what is you think the most interesting person for you, Susanna, you would want to meet or spend time with, from the past or from the future, or that lives in the present time? And for you, Joe, as well, like what would be like the ultimate goal to spend, like if you would spend some time with someone from the past and like from the present, who would it be?
Oh, you go first on this one.
Yeah, I can go first because it's a very good question, but it never struck me that I might be attracted to spend some time with one person. I'm so fond of people. I can spend great time with my doorman. I can spend great time with the greatest musicians. Now I'm looking forward to finish this recording with one amazing flutist who is getting into it and who is very enthusiastic about it, Anders Adorian, who is coming from Munich for this recording. And this one of the few musicians, I have 3 musicians in my life which have carried me when we play together. One is my teacher, Suzanne Klintcharova. Second one is Steve Lacy. In jazz, I had enormous privilege to make duets with him in Radio France, in concerts everywhere. And he was carrying me. He got out of me the everything which is related to my classical background and which is not it, meaning improvising on harp, which is extremely difficult. And the third one is Anders Adorian, this flutist. We played a couple of very great concerts and made recordings, and we made Japan, we made Europe, we made those recordings. So many years we'll make a new recording and new concerts there, and I'm looking forward to spend time with him. But next day it will be someone else, and the day before it might be, as I told you, the simplest person I get into knowing, and I'm learning something from this person, and I really have connection somehow with this person. And
so it's basically like a universe full of people.
Yes. And the human element is very important to me. Very important. Not only in my work, in my life. I live for friends, for people I'm connected with.
That's incredible. That's so important in today's world.
But of course, this is the most important for me.
Yeah.
It's inspiration, people that come, people that have been here. I mean, obviously everyone has a dream to go back and meet somebody else, but it's who's going to come along next, You'd be surprised.
And we are working and we're doing things for people.
Exactly. So kind of connect with the public. What do you think the main factor when you're on stage, and Joe, when you're performing, how do you bring yourself in a way that you energetically and spiritually connect with your listener?
Absolutely.
How do you think is for you?
I'm just listening to them. While I'm playing, all my antennas are to the public. I follow their. I can modify even my interpretation according to public reaction. And
you read them. You know, I mean,
Yeah, I usually in my performances, and I have the CD from Carnegie, live from Carnegie. I'm really connected with them, and every breath, every cough or something is interfering somehow with my interpretation.
Now, if you would have 3 wishes, Suzanna and Joe, what would they be?
Oh boy!
Get over the third volume. three of them. Get over the third volume.
Working on that piece. I can just tell you have so
Lower
much.
my taxes. Yeah, how about that? No. Oh no, the 3rd volume is gonna be no problem, right?
It must not be a problem,
Right.
but I want to be.
When is it
up
due,
to
though? When is it due?
Well, the recording I think is gonna probably be done in Bulgaria on the 4th or the 5th.
Until the 4th,
Yeah.
because on 4th we're playing concert.
So
Why
what-
are you going to Bulgaria for that?
Well, it
On the
has,
30th.
yeah, yeah.
Then we have just 4 days hardly for this recording. It will be very, very tough.
Yeah, but then when it gets, then it's mixed and mastered. And
Oh,
hopefully
then we
it's out
start
by-
the hard work with Joe and with
Yeah.
the colleagues there.
That's the hard work.
Yeah.
The easy part's the recording.
So for the future project, what would be your wish to work with?
I want to keep working with Susanna
It's Susanna.
until she slugs me.
Well, we got some
We have some good
future
stuff.
projects.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
got stuff, and it's always nice to have. I like to have a palette of things. It's good to be inspired by multiple genres of music, and
Do you have guests on the record, like when you're
Oh, yeah.
recording Susanna? Who would
Well,
be
this new guest.
Who is your guest like that you really enjoy working with?
These
The-
flutists
the
I just
flutists.
mentioned, and 3 amazing string players, because one of the pieces is a quintet. We make 2 pieces in trio and 1 piece in quintet for the chamber volume.
What is your wish for people out there, like, the kids starting the music, or those people that in the music industry and it's hard for them to move forward? What would you say your word of wisdom would be for them?
don't do it. What? I didn't say that. Stay at home.
No, it is something which takes a lot of dedication, which takes a lot of hours, which takes a lot of tears.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Did you cry?
And I cried a little when I was a kid, I did. And sometimes I have students which will burst into tears. And at the beginning, I was like, oh my God, she's crying. Oh, please don't cry. And then one day, somebody burst in tears. And I was like, you go and dry your tears because we don't have time. And we have work to do. And you just go
That was
there.
me that was crying.
You go there and you dry your tears, and the person goes and of course gets involved in the work. And then at the end of the lesson, I thought I got over the top, and I said, "Just come and give me a kiss now."
That's great.
And this same student, I was thinking, my God, she will never want to see another harp, no me. She never wanted to leave the harp. And she was like addicted to it after that. But I realized that this part of the process, and more you give it importance, more you're getting into nonsense. Get over it. Keep working and you have the reward.
Absolutely. I don't cry, by the way.
And Joe, you work with
No.
many artists. First would be an advice for them, or someone who is starting to be
Just
on that
love
level
it.
that
You know
Susanna
something?
is.
Enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride.
Because the ride is great.
Right.
I mean, that's what people sometimes, I see it a lot. A lot of people miss it. They're like, I gotta get here. I gotta do this. I have to, I just breathe.
Yeah,
Actually, when
that's
you're playing that guitar thing, or you're singing that riff or whatever, enjoy it.
Enjoy.
Sometimes, and I force myself. I'll sit in the studio if I'm listening to, while I'm mixing.
Yeah.
Sometimes I stop and just go, let me just listen to, the vocal. Make an a cappella mix, and I'll listen to that. That's enjoying it. I know the mix is not getting along, but actually in some ways it is, because I'm listening to the parts. If I'm listening to Susanna's, we're working on, say, a 16-minute movement. If there's one section that just lifts me, I'll loop it in Pro Tools and listen to it for a minute or two. And I'm just like, wow, that's enjoying it. But on the same token, you're also learning more about what is it that's exciting you. And you bring that into the rest of it. And then you try to, it's colors, it's direction. So you enjoy the ride. I tell it to everyone, just enjoy it. Because
And it's the ultimate part of it to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because it's very easy to look and to listen to performance and say, oh, that's very good. And of course, in order to make the public enjoy your piece, you need to enjoy it, because you cannot fool the public. But to get to the point to enjoy it, to get over all the difficulties, to get to enjoy it, this is the ride, actually.
Yeah, the grand hurrah.
And definitely you cannot fool the public. You cannot make believe that you enjoy it. You must be into it. And in order to make the public feel what you want them to feel, you need to feel it yourself.
And the grand hurrah, you were saying, Joe?
No, the grand hurrah only lasts for a second.
It does.
You know, like when you think about when the Yankees win in the bottom of the ninth, it's done.
Done.
By the time, everyone leaves. But enjoying the process is great. Or a finale of a concert. It's wonderful, but getting there is amazing.
Getting there, getting there.
And that's huge. I mean, and that's what you tell people. I like to tell the younger artists that. I think the older artists figure it out eventually, but painstakingly they figure it out.
Yeah.
But no, it's good to remind yourself of that. Like today. I'm enjoying this. This is fun.
Don't get afraid. Everything is questioning.
Yeah.
It's not a straight line, the path there. It's really not a straight line.
No, it's never a straight line.
No.
So that's very important, and that's important to realize very early. In order not to get discouraged.
Oh, absolutely. And I really wish you amazing success and enjoying the further ride that you're going to have.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here with us, Joe and Susanna.
Thank you.
Thank you.
PopImpressKA.